Hello everyone, welcome back to jakesscaryunusual. In today's story, we're going over a unique story about Mama Rose, her kids, in a weird area of a swamp in an unknown land. If you all enjoy the video, please leave a like and share, and don't forget to subscribe. I appreciate all your support. Grab some popcorn and enjoy. I'll see you at the end. Bye for now. It was a beautiful summer morning in the town of Alka in the middle of nowhere land, and Mama Rose, her two kids, and her dog Benjamin were all on a beautiful walk during this lovely summer day. And keep in mind, this is a swamp. It's a very swampy swamp, more so than we would have in our world, Earth. And in Alka, especially, it was one of the swampiest areas. And Mama Rose knew all about the swamp, its creatures, and everything it had, and especially the different types of fish in there. It was very unique in a lot of ways. And they'd actually cook some grand meals from these fish. These things were huge, not to mention the types of alligators that actually were in the swamp. Because similar to swamps here, the swamps over there also had alligators, but these aren't any normal size alligators. These things are massive. These are absolutely humongous alligators. There's also crocodiles. You have a mix of different waters. You have freshwater crocodiles and you have alligators. And it was just really unique, this type of situation where these things can kind of cross over. I know there's a lot of similarities, but this is very wild indeed. So I'm just kind of giving you a little background there of the whole situation where they live in Alka, on this strange planet. So when they were going on their walk, the dog's kind of just staring off to the right. So Mama Rose's dog gets closer to the side, and as it's sniffing it out, it's really doesn't know what to make of it. And Mama Rose knows better to let her dog get anywhere near the side of this swamp. I mean, this is the biggest swamp on this planet, and this planet's 2 times the size of Earth. So it's getting over there sniffing, and here's this thing comes out with its tentacles and grabs the dog and pulls it right in. I mean, this dog's gone. It vanished. Mama Rose is like, "You have to be kidding me." She starts screaming. She jumps in this swamp. She wrestles this thing. She's like thinking to herself, this dog's dead. My dog's dead. This is it. And the 2 kids are just sitting on the side, screaming for Mama Rose because that's all they have at this point. All they have left is Mama Rose. They don't have anyone else. All the other family members are dead. And, they're just staring off. They're seeing bubbles come up in this horribly gassy swamp, and these different types of creatures are starting to get closer. The alligators, the crocodiles, these huge birds, they look like pterodactyls. I mean, this planet was unique in a million different ways, and this is one of the biggest things. You should see the trees that actually come out of the swamp. We're talking 1, 2, even 300 feet tall, some of these trees. These different types of creatures and entities up high in these trees. And so Mama Rose is in there. She can't see anything, but she's battling this thing. She's punching hard. She was a big woman. She really took heed and caution of this thing, but she didn't care. She knew she had to get her dog back. I mean, this dog would go hunt and get food for them. This is a very unique and intelligent dog they had. It kind of was like a hound dog, but it was more intelligent. It had a lot more going on for it. It had increased sense of smell, hearing, even more so than a hound dog, and it had really sharp teeth. Everything on this planet is different to Earth, but a little more intense in a lot of ways. So Mama Rose is battling this thing. She's grabbing it. She sees the pup, and she goes in. She grabs the dog, pulls him out, and kicks this thing right in the face. It was ugly. It was some damn creature. Well, she'd never even seen it before. It's like, what's mutating in this swamp? She gets to the side, pulls the dog. This thing leaches it out and actually starts pulling her back in. But then the kids realize Mama Rose is okay and got the dog. Mama Rose throws the dog onto shore. The kids grab Mama Rose, start pulling her out. And this thing is pulling in and in. And this guy comes over with a safari hat on. It was very unique. It was made of straw, though. It was a little different. And he pulls out a musket and just fires at this thing. Blows its head right off. It lets go. It starts sinking in, and this thing is screaming. It's screaming loud. You see this green blood coming out of its head. I mean, it's oozing everywhere. This thing is not to be messed with. And the worst part is it's all acid. It's like this thing has acidic glands in it, and it started melting its own corpse. It kind of molded into the water and started dissolving even the water around it. Who even knows what was in this swamp water specifically? And the other creatures, as they started getting in, they saw this happening, and they were intelligent enough to actually stay away, and they started flowing back away. Luckily, they did, because Mama Rose is just getting herself out of the water. This swamp is certainly nothing to be messed with. And this guy comes over, and Mama Rose looks at him, and actually he says, he's like, "I'm glad I could be of help. My name is Benjamin. Benjamin Moore." And she just looks at him like, "Do I know you from somewhere?" And Benjamin just smirks and laughs and says, "Yes, you do. I went to school with you." And all these memories start flooding back to Mama Rose. And she actually remembers him from a long time ago, back in the schoolhouse days. They actually used to have a crush on each other. And, she never actually knew what happened to him. After their father died, the two kids' father, Mama Rose kind of just gave up and was like, "I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore." But she always thought of Benjamin after that. She was like, "I wish I could find my real love again." And here he is, and she's just kind of in her own world thinking about things and just feels absolutely overwhelmed. And so Benjamin helps her up, and they actually continue to walk like nothing even happened. She's just so much in a trance. And he actually had some towels with him because he heard, because his house was actually down the road from that part of the swamp. And so he actually grabbed his musket and his towels. It was really weird though, had muskets, It's like, what was the alternate universe compared to their own world? You compare the Earth even. So they're going down the street still, looking at the beautiful sun. And this sun's a little more orange, so actually the Earth was a little slight different color. I'm calling it their Earth, of course. And, they're going down the road, they're having a good time chatting. And like, "Hey, why don't you come over for dinner later?" And Mama Rose is ecstatic. She's like, "That'd be amazing, would you like me to bring anything?" And he's like, "No, it's on me. I insist." And she is just absolutely overwhelmed. The kids are super happy, making some good old kid jokes, like kids do. And they're going down. The dog's doing great, Looks like he may have gotten like hit a little bit. Dog was like limping just a little. But it seemed to come out of it pretty well, completely coherent after that attack from that damn swamp creature. Like, what was it hunting for? Why did it leach out? And first and foremost, what was this thing? And why have they not seen it before? What's going on in the swamp that's changed the creature's own prospects and the different things that might be mutating in this planet? What's actually going on deep down in the swamp? You'll find out later, actually. So they're going down the road, and all these people are running towards them and said, "Get out of the way. Don't go that way. There's something coming down the road." And they're all just like, "What's going on here?" And then Benjamin's like, he pulls out his musket again, and he looks far down the road. So it kind of goes like this. They're going up, and it goes slants down. And actually, the largest part of the swamp is actually down at the bottom of that area of the road. So he goes ahead. He's like, "Mama Rose and kids, stay back. I'm going to go check this out." Mama Rose, though, insisted that she goes with them. And another one of his fellows comes out of the woods with his musket and said, "I heard there's a real terror in the swamp down below." So he comes along with him, and they start going over the hill. Mama Rose goes to the top of the hill. She insisted, but Benjamin and his friends said, "No, stay here this time. This is as far as I'd like you to go. This is going to get dangerous." And it's weird because it was very eerie that Mama Rose had a really bad gut feeling about this thing, and she actually said, "Okay, I'm going to listen. I'm going to stay back. I have my kiddos and the pup with me. Do you want to take the dog with you?" And for a second, Benjamin was hesitant, but he's like, "Yeah, this dog actually could be a really good distraction and help." As awful as that can sound, it can help them really target this creature to really get the element of surprise on it. Distract the creature so they can get the hits they need on this thing. They don't even know how big this thing is or what it is. So they're making their way down the hill as Mama Rose watches them go down. I mean, this is like a quarter mile down. It's a pretty steep hill. It was actually a corded off area of the beach they actually went and swam down into. It was actually safe. There was a bunch of guys on the perimeter that actually had their rifles, and they were actually shooting this thing, but it actually got all three of them. And they find out very soon that's the case because at the bottom they can see them. Their guns are laying there, and they're like, oh, these guns are better than ours. But for a second there, he's like, okay, if they got these guys, their guns are laying here, then their caliber clearly isn't good enough to take this thing out. We have actual proper heavy duty guns. This actually might do more damage than what we had, considering what it just did to the creature to save Mama Rose. So they're going up to it. I mean, they have their weapons drawn. You know, they're wondering where this thing is. And here's this thing. It just kind of goes like this, out of the swamp and back down. And you can feel the earth actually move. And the water just comes flooding off. And they're backing up because they don't know if there's anything with that water that's trying to crawl out and grab them. So Benjamin and his friend are looking down. And this thing's coming over to the left. And it comes crawling out. This thing has scales on it. It's just really weird looking creature. And they're just pointing at it. And this thing has sharp black teeth. And they're like, we never seen this before. And it's coming out, and it's starting to haul ass towards them. I mean, it's moving very quickly. They pull up their muskets, and they fire. And they fire, and these balls come out, and these things go right through it. It's like it didn't even phase it, though. But it did do damage. It went right through and went through the other side. And this thing just, it's like this. They're starting to reload. They're moving away. And it just misses them. You know, it knocks down all these trees, and these things are hundreds of feet tall. And they're coming to crash down, and right as they reload, this thing shoots out tentacles at them and grabs one of their guns. But luckily, just as it grabbed one of their guns, this 300-foot tree, one of the bigger ones, collapses right down the middle of it and literally destroys it, blows it in half. And this thing is screeching. There's green blood come out of it. I mean, you don't even know what this thing is. And it's all acid coming out. And it starts melting its own corpse. Luckily for its stupidness, it took down this tree and took itself out. You know, and, you know, after the fact, Benjamin's his friend's like, thank God that just happened. You know, but this acid is everywhere now. I mean, it's melting even the ground a little bit. You know, so they're just like in awe, though, that this could even happen. You know, so there has to be more field reports done and now investigations into this. Like, what are these creatures and why was there one so much significantly bigger? You know, they took helicopters out actually a few weeks prior to actually see there was seismic activity in this swamp. And they were really trying to figure out what was going on. You know, they thought they saw something in the distance down in the deeper parts of the swamp, you know, where some of the trees are 500-600 feet tall, and there's a lot deeper living creatures, you know, down in depths. It's hard to actually get even radar and stuff like that down in these areas because it's so dense. You know, they can only bounce the sonar actually off the bottom to an extent. In some areas they can't because it's so dense that they actually can't get all the way down in there. So there could be things living down in the swamp that God knows what it is. So that's that part of the story, and now it kind of all makes more sense. But they actually didn't release these reports. You know, everyone went on living as normal, but then they were starting to wonder why guards started showing up at the beaches of this swamp. And there's beaches all around the swamp, but especially in the deeper swamp, they have more protection. But everyone's wondering, like, why are there more guards? You know, why are there more police? What's going on here? And that day, unfortunately, they lost not only the 3 guards, we lost 5 people to this creature. But luckily, they had some good citizens actually coming in, taking this creature out. So Benjamin walks back up the hill with his friend. Luckily, they were unscathed. And Mama Rose comes running up to Benjamin and actually gives a big hug, and I'm so glad you're okay. And Benjamin's just smiling. He said, yeah, we took care of it, but thankfully it killed itself. It took itself out. You know, they were all really happy. They all started walking back. They actually went back to their own places for a while, got freshened up for dinner. And, you know, it's weird because later on they come out and they can see the crocodiles and alligators actually coming onto the sides of the beaches and stuff. And, you know, there's reports of it. They actually send in the military to see what's going on. And the reports were right, and the media actually finally got released of them. These reports saying there's creatures and things actually brewing in this swamp. So now there's just more entities and types of large creatures they actually have to begin to deal with now. So, but that's a whole nother story. And so Mama Rose, the kids, and the pup all going down over to Benjamin's house and his friends there, and they all have a great dinner together after they get freshened up. And they're all having a good time, chatting, even joking about before. But Benjamin says, yeah, like you really took on that beast, that's a really grand feat. And she's laughing and says, yeah, I'm a tough woman, I take care of things like that. And they just all started laughing all in good fun. And Mama Rose, she brought her famous iced tea. Rose's iced tea, this is some really dense stuff. It's actually made some of the algae in the swamp. See, the algae over there is a little more unique in its properties. It has a lot of health benefits. It's actually more green. It's like pure green algae, but it actually has a really sweet taste. And so they're drinking it, and they're all laughing and just absolutely in awe at what they encountered today. Considering that's more abnormal, but it's kind of like the beginning of something bigger. Like what is actually in that swamp? What are they going to be battling? What is the military up for? And this, whole country and this whole world, this Earth 2.0, what is actually in store? What type of things are to come? So Mama Rose and Benjamin actually had to fill out a report because the military actually came up to them afterwards and said, "Hey, what happened here? You need to fill out these reports by the end of tonight at 8 p.m. because we might have to do a full-scale attack on these creatures. I mean, these things are hostile. They're taking and eating people alive. I mean, their own military's guns aren't working. I mean, they're going to have to resort to cannons and missiles to take these things out." It was about modern, like 1990s America, with technology at the time. So they had relatively good tech, in comparison. I mean, how many of these things are there? They don't know. So, but it was at the end of the night. They all had good fun. They all stayed over at Benjamin's house, and Mama Rose got to reconnect, and the kids finally got to meet him. It was funny the stories they told all together. But that was that for the beginning of Mama Rose and Benjamin's adventure with the kiddos and the pup. If you all enjoyed, definitely leave a like, share, and subscribe. And remember, I have a Spotify and I have a TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Definitely check those out as well. If you want to support me, you can buy me a coffee. Links are in the description below. Have a great night and a great day, and stay tuned for the next episode. Have a good night. Bye now.